there's an old school of thought that Adam Smith addressed, going way back when he wrote The Wealth of Nations in 1776, called mercantilism, which views trade as a zero-sum game, and that a country can gain by exporting, but it loses when it imports. And what Adam Smith showed is that that's not correct, that trade is a positive-sum game. Both countries can gain from both exporting and importing, that actually imports are good for an economy. They help consumers, they lower prices, they increase variety, they provide necessary inputs for firms in their production process and allow for more specialized inputs that help their productivity. And so Adam Smith really changed the presumption in thinking that countries can specialize in certain types of goods that they'll export, and with those exports they can afford to buy imports that other countries will specialize in. And it's really just an extension of the way we run our lives. So we don't make our own clothing, we don't plant our own food, we rely on farmers and other manufacturers to specialize in certain activities, and then we specialize in one thing ourselves and use our income across a range of goods to buy those for our consumption. And we benefit from that specialization process. Just think about if we didn't have washing machines, if we didn't have grocery stores. That would take us back a number of centuries, and life was very difficult and hard. You had to do a lot of things yourself, and we're not good at doing all those things. So the same thing that applies to an individual applies to a country. Countries can specialize in certain activities, export their surplus, and import other things. So for example, we now have winter vegetables in the United States because we're relying on countries in the southern hemisphere, or sometimes Mexico, to provide us with broccoli and asparagus and grapes in the middle of winter. That really wasn't available a generation ago. So there's specialization across geographic locations, time zones, climates, and it's really enriched the world. And I guess the best way to show that is that countries that have deliberately cut themselves off from trade have suffered, not just in terms of their income, but in terms of health outcomes, in terms of education. You're really hurting the poor and the middle class when you cut yourself off from trade.